In the previous video, on assignment number 4, we finished off the structure by adding beams to the frames, to the girders and columns. We made some decisions about sizes and stuff. One thing that I second guessed was that the size of the beam here is 27 inches, and really those spans are so short that we could go to like a 21 without any problem. So I probably would, and this is the advantage of having a BIM model, is that we can sit back and then the engineer can come in and evaluate things and very easily make adjustments to the frame, and whether it's just changing the size of the elements or not. But anyway, so we're not going to make any more changes. Well, one more thing. I noticed that there was a crossing of these two beams right here. They wouldn't do that. One has to end and then start again. Which direction you would go? Probably I would go with the beam that went from girder to girder, is the long one. And to do that, what we're going to do is use, let's see, modify. Let's see if we can get the modify menu up. And then I would use coping, cope. Save the project. And then let's see if I can remember, select the one you want to cope and the one that you want to keep. Yes. Okay. So as you can see, it split them there. They should be the same length. I don't know why they're not. So they should be 1226. This is 1226. So I don't understand why. Oh, yeah, it's coping it back. I see. Okay, yeah. So these are flush, and that's what we want. They should be at 6 inches below the finished floor of the second floor, and so that's correct. Okay. So anyway, so now we kind of have our frame done, and what we need to do is add the decking. In our previous the previous work that I did, I decked this area with a metal deck. If we go to Ching and my lecture, we talked about metal decking, and so we're going to use a metal decking with a concrete floor slab. There's 3 different types. Form decking, or non-composite decking, sometimes it's referred to, where the metal decking is just used as formwork, isn't a part of the structure, and then wire mesh is added to the concrete. Okay, and the concrete is really the structure here for the spanning. The other is what we call a composite deck, and that composite deck is designed, you'll see that there's indentions in it, and there's studs that come up through it and all that. That's to, sometimes there's wire mesh in it, sometimes there isn't. It depends on the engineers and what they feel like they need. But you know, this is a composite deck where the steel and the concrete work together. The steel is providing tensile strength and the concrete compression strength at the top. And then there's what we call a cellular deck. A cellular deck has a bottom plate to it, as you can see right here. So it's covered on the bottom, so it creates a cell in here. And then that cell then can be used as a conduit for electrical wiring and stuff like that, rather than pulling wire through an actual conduit, because now the deck can service. So those are the 3 types. Talked about those in the lecture. We're going to use a composite deck, okay? And so if you look here, we have a lightweight concrete on a 2-inch metal deck, 4 inches of concrete on a 2-inch metal deck. I'm just going to take a look at this so that you can see it. If we go in here and then we edit it, let's preview this so that we can see the image. Okay. So here's our composite deck. You'll notice if we select structural deck here, okay, structural metal deck, and then in Revit you choose what that is by its profile. I chose a 2 2" by 6" wide. So 6 inches this way, 2 inches in depth, and composite form deck. If you don't have the profile that you want here of the decking that you want, you'll have to go and add it, and I can show you how to do that in just a few layers. And then you have over here deck usage, bound layer above, or standalone deck. If you do standalone deck, then the deck is over here and it's standing alone. It's not incorporated into, and that's what we'll use when we do the roof. So now we have our deck defined. And then we have 6 inches of total concrete. The 6 inches runs from the bottom to the top. So this is 4 inches here, and then an additional 2 inches having to do with the deck. So we're going to say okay to that. And then we're going to say okay to this. Now, if I didn't have that profile, I mentioned that we'd have to go in and add it. And of course, if we want to add a family, just one of the ways to get there is through insert, load a family. And then if we go down here to profiles, if you come down here, there'll be a folder right there, profiles. And then you'll see metal deck profiles. Okay. And then you'll see form deck composite, composite dovetail. Now, based on everything that I know, really Revit renamed these wrong. Okay, a form deck usually refers to only a non-composite. In other words, this is correct. Form deck, non-composite. If this is a metal deck and it's a composite deck, it's normally not referred to as a form deck. But I'm sure there's a lot of those things. And then and then you can see a roof deck here, and that's for when we're not going to put concrete on it on a roof. Okay, so another review of kind of metal decking and how that works. So we can add those, and I already added them, and then we can go in and edit the type and create our own if we want to. So I'm not going to, don't want to open that. Okay, so we want to metal deck this now. We're ready to do that. It's going to start at level, if I open up, if we open up our wall section here, we're going to see, here's the metal deck here. Let's do, instead of the wall section, let's do the west elevation, since we don't have any walls up at this time. So let's go west elevation, and let's zoom in here. There we go. Okay. So in the previous part that I've already done, this bay up here, you can see that I added a deck in here. It's down. There we go. This deck here, that's at lightweight. It's on level 2. In other words, the top surface of this is at the level 2 finished floor. And that's where we want all the rest of this decking to be, is at level 2 finished floor. So what we're going to do is zoom in here, and we already know this is done. I've got it hidden in that view. This is level 2 right here, level 2 structural. The way you can determine if this is a structural or a floor plan, you see these little lines right here, okay? That means that it's showing you beams and all that kind of stuff, right? If we open up a level 2, notice a plan is blank, okay? Is more or less blank, okay? And then if it's a ceiling, level 2 ceiling, go ahead and open that up too. You'll see that it's got a series of kind of a hash sign or something, grid lines. But anyway, so that's how you can subtly tell. It's real subtle, but that's how you can subtly tell which one you're in. So I'm going to go back to structure because we're just going to deal with structure right now. So let's put this in. And so there's a couple of ways to do it. I'm going to do it kind of the quick and dirty way. If you have the deck going in opposite directions, okay, then you need to make sure that you have a different piece. So if the decking, in this case, the decking for this area right here is running in this direction, okay? If we're going to continue that and run it in this direction here, as well as the same direction here and here and here, I can do that as just one slab. But if I'm going to change that direction, then I need to make changes to it. Do it in separate pieces. I'm going to assume that we can run the metal decking all in that same direction. This span here is easily spannable, and these members right here really are to help support this beam, not really support the floor. The floor can be supported by this and this to keep this from torquing or from getting a moment in it. So I'm just going to cover it from one end to the other, and then we'll edit. So I'm going to go into structure. I'm going to use a structural floor. And then I'm going to choose the same decking that I used before, this 4-inch concrete on a 2-inch metal deck. Okay, level to finished floor. That's correct. That's what I want it to do. Always check that so that you know it's going in the right measure. And then I'm going to use this, and I know it's going to go from right now from here all the way to here. And then I've got openings that I need to put in there, but I'm going to do that in just a second. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and lock that so that it'll move with those beams if those beams happen to move. And now we have an opening right here. So this needs to have an opening. So I'm just going to choose a line right there, and I'm going to choose that line and this line, the outside edges of those two beams. Okay, and then this line right there. And then I'm going to, we'll lock it to that outside edge. And then I need to trim this. I need to break this line and trim it. So I'm just going to use the trim command here and trim this one with that one. And then I need another piece, trim this with this, and trim this with this. Okay, and then I need another line right there. So let's put another line in. And then I need to trim those to make sure that they're closing, because these lines have to be closed. Okay, that should work. And then I'm going to come down here and do the same thing here. Okay, so I'm going to use this line, and we'll just go to this inside edge. And then we should be able to just trim that here, here. And I'm going to go ahead and trim this just in case they're not. So this is open because of this, it's a stairwell, and stairs need to go up and down it. And of course, this is the atrium. Now you can see right here these double lines. They tell you which way the profile is spanning. Okay, so right now the metal deck is spanning this way, and that's the way we want it. But if we wanted to change that, if we need it spanning in the other direction, what we would do is we would come in, and you can see right up here, span direction. If I click this, then I can choose a line or draw a line. I'm just going to pick a line. So my span direction was this direction, and it was running this way, which it's not. But if it was, then I could choose that. And now that the double line, so the deck is spanning this way, which is the wrong way. So I'm going to go back to here and select that. And now we're going to finish it off. And when we do, we're going to end up, if we look at our elevation right here, we're going to have this wonderful deck, okay, that stretches all the way here, has our openings for it, and we now have metal deck. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to quickly copy these floors up onto the second and third floor and replace the decking. So let's stop this video and move on to the next one.